And we've got a lot more to cover. Let's do this though. Let's step back. We'll take a short break here, and then when we come back, I'd like to get into the reports and to get into some of the other things that as they kind of go along with the reports and the questions also that I've gotten as well from some of the reports. So we're going to go ahead, you guys. We're going to take a little short break. When we come back, we've got more of Clif High right after this. Don't go away. Kind of go along with Clif. The reports,
Clif, welcome back,
and the questions also that I've gotten as well from some of the reports.
Well, there's so much.
We're going to go ahead, you guys. We're going to take a little short break, and when we come back, we've got more of Clif High right after this. Don't go away.
That you wanted to talk about, but I also had some questions, and these are some of the highlights of the questions. Was the Israeli mistake? Where's that at in all of this? Also, kind of a take, if it were, on this whole bombing of the moon or the crashing into the moon or whatever, and maybe how that also fits in as well.
Well, the Israeli mistake stuff is still on. I mean, sad to say, and we're seeing more and more actual manifestation of real language in the mainstream media that supports a move that way. Bear in mind the language always precedes the actual change in behavior. So before someone smacks you in the nose, they're going to tell you about it one way or another.
There you go.
And they've been telling us about it, that they want to go and smack Iran, and the more they tell us about it, the more they discuss it, the more it's likely to occur. And this fits the prediction of the occurrence of the language, so it seems likely that the actual attack will occur. And once we get beyond that level of reality manifesting, then it's our feeling that there's probably about a better than twice what chance would allow that the Israelis will actually find themselves making this mistake that we've thought about or described. So it's conceivable. The mechanism whereby the mistake could continue to cause problems for 18 or more weeks globally on a radioactive level seems very difficult, because as anybody who's gone through the various different training that the government and everybody else provides, civil defense, etc., most radioactive fallout, even plutonium, even cesium-133, etc., is essentially out of the air in about 2 weeks. As we've seen from chemtrails, they precipitate out fairly rapidly, and the radioactive material would be somewhat heavier, and so would theoretically would fall out of the jet stream and not be too much of a problem. However, the scenario that would make sense and would allow the Israeli mistake to occur would be as if the Israelis used one of our new super-duper bunker busters, happened to hit some kind of a material storage area or a support for a material storage area, and that material was a concentrated radioactive substance like plutonium, and it became dry, and it thus heated up and melted down and did a Chernobyl, only it went down far enough to hit some kind of an oil pocket, and thus came spewing back up once it ignites the oil pocket with its heat, and we have a big erupting volcano that's driven by the oil reserves and is spewing radioactive material out for, like our data says, about 18 weeks. But yes, unfortunately, the Israeli attack, which offers the potential for the Israeli mistake, is still very much in the cards and appears to be on track for before the end of the year.
Okay.
These people move us into war. They're doing everything they can all at once. We're going to be hit by a large number of events as a populace on the planet as a species. The subset of our species that thinks they have the right to control us is attempting to, for their own purposes, have like a pre-wave of all of these events to herd us into various different levels of control. One of them is very much likely to be war.
Okay. And when I've been watching the news, there's a lot of different countries that are making overtures against that whole area as well. So you're like, okay, so there's a lot of people feeding that whole energy pattern that goes with that to create this event, and it's just kind of interesting to watch that. It really is, not in a good way, but it's just interesting nonetheless. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, because this is something that I've never seen, by the way, in your reports,
And this is on page 4 of the 50-page report that you brought out on September 15th. Blowing in the Wind, Hovering Craft, the 15 percenters.
Right.
You actually put a name in there. That was pretty fascinating to me. I've never seen that unless I've missed it before of that happening. So let's if you will just go over that part of the report, because that's just kind of interesting. The 15 percenters.
Yeah, the idea of the 15 percenters is simply that a meme is going to be out and about relative to yet another way to divide and conquer. So the powers that be are going to attempt to use the idea that people are special by way of containing alien DNA in their own, or extraterrestrial, however we want to think about it, within their own DNA, and that'll make them special. And basically, it's, as I say, it's just yet another way of them attempting to divide and conquer.
Yeah,
it's an updating, if you will, of the whole idea of rule by special bloodline.
You know what? I'm pretty tired of that. I don't know about
It gets very old very quick. Yeah, especially since these people are so stupid.
To be sure. I mean, really, sincerely. Okay, so the next thing is the moon bombings. Let's talk about that. Does that fit into any of your reports anywhere?
Sure. It was actually really spooky because we'd seen, sometimes when you're looking at this data and you come up with a particular interpretation, you say, you're writing it all down, you're in the midst of all of these thousands of various different little subsets, and you're looking at it, and you write it all down, and you make notes, and so on. And later on, you come back and you sort of look at it with your conscious mind, and you say, now, wait a second, what did I write there? Because it didn't make any sense at all. How could such a thing occur? And a couple of years back, we had one of these instances which said that sometime in the middle of the summer of 2009 would be the first occurrence of language that ultimately becomes alien wars. And you have to understand that the way we look at things, there's various different archetypes. So we have this large archetype over here with about 40 or 50,000 words in it called aliens. And then we have another archetype over here of war with about 800,000 word combinations in it. And so the idea is basically that we're going to get some sort of large combination between the two, large set between the two that will dominate things in 2011. And we thought, well, this is pretty silly. What kind of language would precipitate alien wars and show up in 2009? And then, sure enough, in the summer, they announced that, Earth is going to take the radical step of attacking the moon and bombing it. We do that very well, so the United States is going to take the lead, and NASA was going to go and bomb the moon for us. Those evil Selenites must be doing something we didn't like. and so we're going to take it out on them with a bombing campaign. Bomb them back into the lunar Stone Age. Anyway, though, what was interesting for us, actually rather shocking, was to see the language of warfare in the sense of words around bombing and so forth, and the idea of interplanetary actually appear in the mainstream press. The reason that it was shocking, because these early precursors, if they don't show up, then it may mean that we've really misinterpreted the larger set that backs them up. On the other hand, the reverse is also true. When these early things show up, it gives us a whole lot more confidence in the larger archetypes appearing in a much more concrete form over time. So we're a whole lot more confident now that alien wars are in fact going to be dominating all of our thoughts in 2011 in a way that we can't really conceive of at the moment, simply because NASA did that announcement and then went on to attack the evil Selenites.
Yeah, and then now you notice they changed the premise of why they were doing it. Now it's for water. They're going to go up there and bomb for water. They're going to try to find water underneath the surface. I don't know. The whole thing is just really weird. I don't know if you got caught up listening to that whole scenario when they were supposedly, on their way to bomb the moon, and the audio and the video of all that.
No, I haven't actually seen any of the details. I've been out doing other things, so.
Yeah, well, you're probably lucky that you did most of it. There's a lot of real quirky things in there. It's not right, so I'm even kind of wondering if there's not going to be a second one happening here obviously, because it didn't do what they wanted it to do, and I'm wondering if there's going to be a second one here next month, in the month of November, and would there be anything in your language, in your reports, that would maybe point to that direction?
Well, I don't know specifically about the bombing of the moon again, but it wouldn't surprise me that there would be some level of response to it, not necessarily from the Selenites throwing something back at us, but down here on the planet. And it may be a scenario whereby, for instance, it turns out that NASA was trying to destroy some evidence that they didn't want the Indian lunar observer craft to see, right?
No.
And they missed or something.
No, you have to be wrong about that.
Yeah, something along those lines, right?